Morty, we've entered a lame YouTube video about us. Quick, we have to get out of here before the YouTuber acknowledges our existence as fictional characters.
Fictional characters, Rick? I don't know what you mean.
Never mind, Morty. Just get those seeds and shove them up your butt, okay? Just get them right up there.
Oh, jeez, Rick. Again, it was
all
so
the way up there,
uncomfortable.
Morty.
This
Yeah,
hurts.
like that.
Oh, God.
Good job.
Oh, no. Oh, jeez.
So today on the show, we're going to talk about the philosophy of one of the best cartoons on today, Rick and Morty.
It's too late, Morty. It's all over. We have to go. You failed, Morty. Good job.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
You ruined something else.
Oh, why do you always have to berate me, huh?
Oh, why are you such a piece of shit, Morty?
Why can't you be like a normal grandpa?
What can I say about Rick and Morty? I've been wary of Adult Swim programming since like 12 Ounce Mouse. But much like Venture Brothers and Metalocalypse, Rick and Morty have turned out to be something special. It's a commentary on so many deep philosophical concepts as well as the human condition as a whole. The most prevalent of this is nihilism, or in simple terms, the rejection of there being a reason to things. Now I'm going to go further and explain nihilism, but that's a very simplified meaning of the word. Rick and Morty time and time again has shown itself to represent nihilistic points of view in a way that makes you look at your own points of view on life while hiding heavy philosophical arguments behind the spot-on dark comedy. So let's look at what nihilism is and who pioneered the concept. Though it came before him, Nietzsche is often credited with the most well-known interpretation of nihilism. Now, how Nietzsche approaches nihilism is complicated, but for an abbreviated version of it, he argues that nihilism is the suffering from meaninglessness and that the rise of knowledge and rejection of Christianity leads to a depressive and pessimistic outlook on life. Christianity, in his idea, provides a meaning or a goal for what you're working toward. Without that, we begin rejecting the idea of morals and other ideals brought on by the teachings in the Bible. So, though describing it and outlining what nihilism is, he viewed it as a massive problem in society. God is now dead and we killed him. Often quoted out of context, what Nietzsche was saying is that we have rejected the meaning God put into all of our lives. Now, I should stop it right here and say this doesn't represent my opinions on religion, nor am I trying to go on some spiel about religion creating morals for us. But instead, I'm hoping to give you an understanding of the mindset Nietzsche presented in his works. Anyway, Nietzsche was ironically fundamental in bringing nihilism into the public eye. This being ironic because after it was more widely researched, we see people accepting nihilism as an outlook on their own lives. As a fun fact, nihilism and Buddhism also share some concepts, and one can compare them as different interpretations of a similar base philosophy. But back to the point. Nihilism began taking off for people, and some people take comfort in the absurd rather than being depressed by the perceived lack of meaning in their life. In such, there are four main types of it. Taken from The Spectre of the Absurd by Donald Crosby, moral nihilism denies a sense of moral obligation, the objectivity of moral principles, or the moral viewpoint. Epistemological nihilism denies that there can be anything like truths or meanings not strictly confined within or wholly related to a single individual, group, or concept scheme. Cosmic nihilism disavows intelligibility or value in nature, seeing it as indifferent or hostile to fundamental human concerns. Existential nihilism negates the meaning of life. And the main one we're going to be looking at is existential nihilism. It's one of the most regularly presented in most forms of media and is often brought up in Rick and Morty. So where do we see nihilistic views in Rick and Morty? The truth is, everywhere. Rick is representative of a person who has accepted the meaningless of life and consistently just continues on despite him realizing that nothing has purpose, not even him. Basically, he lives realizing that ultimately his death will be a speck in the universe. And remember what I said about the God is dead quote? Rick verbally rejects God multiple times in the series. There's one in particular when he is about to resign himself to death to save Morty.
Yes! You God! Not today, bitch!
This all being said, we can see him slip in this mindset a few times, attempting suicide over unity or showing care towards Morty despite constantly berating him. He shows himself to be both the person who finds comfort in meaninglessness and the person that lets the depressive state of meaninglessness overtake it. He's also heavily influenced by the concept of moral nihilism, in which we see Rick almost chaotic neutral in how he acts in situations. He rejects there's any meaning in the moral standpoints, and we see him sell weapons to an assassin while saving the Earth from destruction multiple times. Morty, conversely, represents the person who is not ready to accept the meaninglessness of life, though we do get the most nihilistic quote in the series from Morty himself.
Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's gonna die. Come watch TV.
Morty wants to believe there is a bigger purpose for himself and Rick. There are multiple Mortys, and some of them are dead. Morty is faced with the fact that he could easily be replaced by... Even in the episode Close Rick Counters of Rick Kind, we see that there is a system of replacement Mortys for Ricks who have lost theirs. In the same episode, Rick explains to Morty that he only keeps him around because he hides Rick's brainwaves. Morty's upset by this because he feels he has a bigger purpose than just being camouflage. When we see the other Mortys, they've created a pseudo-religion around the chosen Morty. This ties back to our argument with Nietzsche about religion creating meaning for people. This in turn creates meaning for our Morty by making him the leader of the Mortys. On the subject of moral nihilism, Morty is an altruist. He believes that he can do some moral good in the world, which contradicts the idea Rick presents of it being pointless to make anything of morals. So, with this series, we can see that essentially Rick and Morty, though overlapping at times, represent two sides of a coin. A man who rejects the meaning in everything, and the boy who looks for meaning everywhere. Rick and Morty presents this in a charming and hilarious way that makes us question our own viewpoints. And while not the only thing presented in Rick and Morty, nihilism is a key factor for our characters. One day I want to come back and discuss some more concepts in Rick and Morty, but that's it for today.
Oh, great. Here comes the part where he tells people to like, subscribe, and all that other stuff, Morty.
I thought it was pretty good, Rick.
Are you kidding me, Morty? He's a bad narrator and a bad researcher. Want to see something funny, Morty?
Oh, jeez, Rick, what are you gonna do?
Donald Trump sucks!
Why did you...
Look at the comments, Morty. They're all yelling at each other and calling each other names. The video's getting thumbs down. Woo! Dr. 3AM and the Hard Reboot Network are pieces of shit, and I can prove it mathematically. Still frame Rick out!
It's time to get swifty and